The 2020 presidential election was on a knife edge. It was expected that Trump would squeeze through. But then there was this little matter of a laptop of Hunter Biden. Well, what happened after that will give you an idea of how the deep state colluded with some in the various branches of the government to make sure that Biden would win. This is a story of how a laptop ruined chances of Trump. At the same time, this has also exposed a bunch of people who are now seeing a lot of heat from the Trump administration. It is expected that many of them could go to jail. Some of them are or were directors of the central intelligence agencies. There you go, one agency unearthed which has a big connect with deep state. All this and more in this slide deck. Please like this video, and please, if you have not already subscribed to our channel, do subscribe to our channel. Now let's take a quick look at the slide deck. Trump's lightning moves. Will this dismantle the deep state? That's a big question. You saw on day one how he has revoked the security clearance of 51 former intelligence officials. This seems rather drastic, don't you think? Well, it is not, because it is a self-declared letter where 51 former intelligence officials signed on a particular statement, and all of them are there. And I've shown you pictures and various monologues so far. The 51 officials include CIA directors John Brennan and James Clapper. All of them claim that Hunter's laptop had the earmarks of a Russian disinformation operation. Remember that this has been a huge deal in 2016 election, where the Democrats, having lost the election, alleged that it was Russia which wanted Trump to win. So that story was continued in 2020, and it is believed that it had a huge impact. I'm going to tell you about the percentage of impact, how many percent got swayed to voting for the Democrats in just a moment. You have liked this video, haven't you? In June last year, a joint interim staff report, this is June 2024, joint interim staff report was released by the House Intelligence Committee, Judiciary Committee and Subcommittee on the Weaponization of the Federal Government, titled The Intelligence Community 51, How CIA Contractors Colluded with the Biden Campaign to Mislead American Voters. Now, one question that you might all ask is, what took so long for this committee to come out with this report? After all, the event happened in 2020. This came in 2024. What took so long? Well, for one, the Democrats were in majority up until 2022, and even in 2022, they had a wafer-thin majority. It takes time to assign resources to something like this, and then you want to give a good report that goes into every aspect, examines it in great detail. So no surprise that it came just before the presidential elections in 2024. Of course, there was some political timing associated with it. Yeah, of course. One side plays politics, the other side has no choice but to play politics. Now, senior CIA officials, including the then director Gina Haspel, were informed about the public statement on the Hunter Biden emails before its approval and publication. The COO of the Central Intelligence Agency, his name is Andrew McCridis, he testified that the statements released was communicated to top leadership, deviating from the standard pre-publication classification review board protocols. So there is a review board that makes sure that whatever it is that the intelligence people are signing up to is actually being vetted correctly for facts. Looks like they did not do that. The statement originated from a call by Anthony Blinken. Anthony Blinken had not become the Secretary of State at that point of time. So what he did was he made a call to the former Deputy CIA Director, Michael Morell. The goal of the statement was to discredit the New York Post article that said that there was a laptop of Hunter Biden. We covered this in Daily Global Insights in a big way. In fact, we started getting active in US politics from about 2019 or maybe early 2020, when COVID had started, and also we knew that Trump was up for re-election. We did a lot of work on that time, and we highlighted a lot of these improprieties that were surfacing. The goal of the statement was to discredit the New York Post. So this is one of the we were one of the first organizations to look at the New York Post article and say that this is true. We have double checked this. This is true, even though the whole world was saying this is a fabricated thing. Ultimately, it turned out to be true. Now, there are also other people like a former CIA Inspector General, David Buckley, and they were all under active CIA contracts while they were issuing the statement. See, there is one thing about a retired CIA director issuing it where they don't have any official capacity, but some of the 51 signatories were actually active CIA contractors at the time of signing that. Isn't there a conflict of interest here? I think so. This raised concerns about misuse of taxpayer dollars and potential abuse of their positions to expedite the statement's approval. Sometimes what happens is nobody has time to go through all these documents. They just look at who has signed thus far. And you go, oh, this guy's read. I know this guy. It must be right. No, you sign it. So something like that must have happened because these signatures get collected in a very short period of time, which means somebody is either walking them through to various places or making sure that there is a conference call and everybody is told, you sign, something like that. Clearly, there was a deep state connect here. They wanted to try and make sure that the Hunter Biden story would not flare up, endangering the candidacy of Joe Biden. Well, on October 14, 2020, that is a month before approximately the elections, the New York Post reported allegations of influence peddling by Hunter Biden involving Joe Biden. This is the laptop. 5 days later, the statement comes. 51 intelligence officials signed a statement labeling the laptop story as having the hallmarks of a Russian interference operation. The committees have been investigating the origins of the statement since April 2022, including requesting documents and testimony from the 51 signatories. On what basis did you sign this letter? Everybody is calm and quiet. They don't want to open their mouth. So this is where the game is given away. They somehow thought that this can be swept under the carpet, and looks like it is not being swept under the carpet. This has to be a lesson. The CIA has got politicized. The FBI has got politicized. Much of the funding for these things come from taxpayer dollars. As a taxpayer, I am pissed. I mean, you can say, well, you get pissed on everything. Yes. Well, the thing is, if I can prove that somebody has abused his position and also abused public money, yeah, I am going to get angry, and you should too. The story was based on emails from Hunter Biden's laptop obtained via Rudy Giuliani. The laptop was reportedly provided to Giuliani by a Delaware computer repair shop. This part, step by step, every day as the story was evolving, we had covered it in DGI. In fact, I'm told, I've checked this, some of those stories actually were abruptly taken out from circulation. I won't say which social media platform. They actually pulled it out completely. So I don't even have a copy now to show you. Maybe I do have a copy, but you get the idea, right? Someday, when it is safe, I'll probably publish on a platform where such things are not done, where they give you the full freedom of expression. I'll do that later. If you guys really want it, I can go back and recreate. We have the videos. We just have to go back and get it from the source. The FBI confirmed the laptop and hard drive were authentic but did not verify all the data. Despite earlier claims of Russian disinformation, some federal investigators acknowledged the laptop contained reliable evidence. This is where the big guy, the kickback, all these things are there. The emails are pretty damning as far as Joe Biden is concerned. CIA officials knew the statement was political and understood that it could damage the agency's credibility. This is really politicization of intelligence. The use of intelligence community titles to promote a political narrative highlights the risk of a politicized intelligence apparatus. Now, some officials may have used their CIA roles and access to expedite the statement's release for political purposes. The report underscores the risks of federal agencies being used for political objectives. Should the CIA and the FBI not have stayed out? You had FBI also getting into a fair amount of controversy about what happened in 2016, where there was this email and a bunch of revelations that were coming out even as America was approaching the elections. That actually hurt Hillary Clinton. So I think in this case, what I would like to say is the FBI has a job to do. The ideology of what you believe in is not something that you need to bring into your workspace. Ditto for CIA, ditto for Google, ditto for any company also. You as a person may have a certain preference, whether it's Democrat or independent or liberal or Republican, but that should not be brought in, and that filter should not be worn when you are doing your job for which you are getting paid. That is the point. If people cannot distinguish one from the other, then they have no place in that particular organization. They need to understand this is professionalism 101. Now, why is this move revolutionary? The move is seen as a direct challenge to entrenched power structures in Washington. The 51 individuals are seen as part of the so-called deep state. I've given you a bunch of reference links. Do take a look at it and satisfy for yourself whether all these people are part of the deep state or not. Because it is just basically the data that we got from the reference links that we are presenting it to you here by way of a slide deck. The 51 individuals are seen as part of the so-called deep state, wielding influence even after retirement. What are you going to do? I mean, if somebody calls you out for a coffee, or he runs into you at dinner or something like that and put in a word saying, oh, by the way, blah, blah, blah. You mine for intelligence, you mine for data. Sometimes, people who are in active duty or actively working at CIA may blurt out the facts. In fact, we saw that a couple of them were CIA contractors, and they yet went in and signed this document. They should have not done that. They should have thought about the consequences. So this is not something that's going to go away. I think there is solid evidence here. This is going to be trouble for some of these illuminaries. Their ability to shape public narratives and influence policy underscores their continued power. How is this going to be broken? Well, since that 2020 incident, these officials had falsely labeled it as Russian disinformation. This is the problem. This is the problem, because they swayed 17% of Democrat voters, emphasizing the significant role misinformation played in the 2020 elections. 17%. That's a huge number. Whether that would have changed the outcome or not, we'll have to, you'll have to do the numbers to see, but it's a big number. It's not, a minuscule number that you can brush off saying, no, this had no impact. It had a huge impact. Officials claimed exclusive knowledge, manipulated public opinion, and avoided accountability. You look at that 51 signatory document, right? You see former directors of CIA. What are you going to think? And also high-level officials from the FBI. You would think that, yes, this is true, that the other side is making it all up. And in the first term, Trump faced significant hostility from the entrenched apparatus, whether it was the bureaucracy or the entrenched set of senators. Even in the Republican Party, they were not willing to play ball. In a future monologue, I'll show you what happened in Georgia. The Georgia's governor was a Republican. The Georgia's Secretary of State was also a Republican, yet the Republicans lost there. Why did that happen? That controversy is also boiling up into a huge deal now. And we will talk about that in a separate monologue. So stay tuned for that. So many are part of a shadow government operating behind the scenes while maintaining public credibility. See, once as director of CIA retires, what happens? They hang around the Beltway and they get into one lobbying group or the other. Essentially, they still have touch with the government. Perhaps they are also steering the government in a certain direction. That's why they're called deep state. So all this thing, how they work, how they peddle influence, how they basically make money from foreign governments while, enriching or actually even inadvertently working against their own country, all this stuff is going to come out. This is a huge deal. I hope the Trump administration follows through with its promises. Sometimes these things fall through the cracks also. Now, once the security challenge is revoked, what it means is they can be sued individually or collectively. So this is where somebody has to be assigned as a special prosecutor. They have to look at the evidence. They have to come up with the charge sheets, and then that is going to have a story of its own. We'll have to wait and see, because if even they get 2 or 3 ex-CIA directors, it's game over, because there's some big names there. Leon Panetta's name. He's a very respected politician, or was, until I guess he became the director of CIA. Anyway, so I'm just saying that this is the perception of Panetta. His son is my congressman right now, J.B. Panetta. But point I'm trying to make is nobody is above law. Nobody is above law. You break the law, you have to face the consequences. Now, Trump's action revoking access signals an intent to dismantle this unelected power structure. This decision aims to restore trust in democratic institutions and hold officials responsible for spreading fake or false narratives. It challenges the administrative state that undermines voter will. Now, the other thing is, many federal employees might lose their jobs. There are various ways in which this could happen. That will also, basically shrink the government. With all the automation available, I think it can do just fine with fewer number of people. This is my personal opinion. Now, what are the implications of this? Election integrity, upholding the rule of law, and preventing government overreach that stifles dissent, especially stifling dissent. This is something, if you don't agree with somebody, then people are trying to squelch you, whether it is shadow banning on some platforms or sometimes outright shutting down your account. All these things have happened. In fact, this lady called 𝗤𝗍𝗪 shut down Trump's account on Twitter. And who stood up for Trump? It was a Democrat, Ro Khanna. I appreciate him for that. So there are a lot of things that happened. And I think these people have just walked away into the sunset with millions of dollars. I don't know what happened to that lawsuit where Elon Musk was trying to claw back what was the compensation promised to two people. I think one was the then Agarwal guy, I think, who was the CEO, and this girl, lady 𝗤𝗍𝗪. I don't know what happened to them. They were trying to not pay them the amount when they were, let go. We'll see. Many former officials no longer hold active clearances, limiting the practical impact, but Trump's order signals his intent to target perceived adversaries in national security and intelligence. At least it puts the fear of God in many of these people that if we do something similar, we are going to be caught in the future. So I hope that the existing administration, whether it is FBI or CIA or the various intelligence agencies, they realize that they cannot bring their ideological biases into their work. This is the most important takeaway. You cannot allow your party preference to dictate how you work, because that affects your work. Whether you are working in a social media company like Facebook, or whether you're working in CIA or FBI or any other government organization, it's a huge maturity problem. People cannot do that. And we saw this thing being done blatantly, blithely in the last 10 years. I'm so disappointed with so many companies. My accounts on Facebook, my pages in Facebook as well as in Twitter continue to be shadow banned. Musk or no Musk, or a reformed Zuckerberg. I've written to them, I've showed them the data, how this is being shadow banned. Nobody wants to even bother answering. I mean, I would say that as an independent voice, I've done my research. I know what technology is. I know what technology is capable of. At least they should respond by saying, no, we disagree and this is why we disagree. I don't see anything. They just ignore you. So that tells you that either they know that there is a problem and don't want to admit it, or they don't know that there is a problem and they still won't admit it. It's either way, you need to know. Otherwise, don't make statements that we are going to provide you an online tool that will help you know whether you are shadow banned or not, and if you are shadow banned, under what category. All these things were promises made by Elon Musk before he purchased Twitter. Where has the action been? So don't think that Elon Musk gets everything done. There are lots of statements he makes that he doesn't follow through. I'm just expressing what I'm seeing, guys. This is not being made up. I'm really disappointed that my Twitter account continues to be shadow banned. Hardly 1,000 views on most of the articles. I'm supposed to have 40,000 viewers. That's a horrible conversion rate. Anyway, I'm just going on a rant here. This is now become a war against deep state, what Trump is doing, and whether he'll succeed or not, only time will tell. But at least he is making a fist of it. He's trying to take it to the deep state camp. This is probably why the deep state tried its level best to prevent Trump from becoming the president a second time around. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar.